Okay, people. So I decided to check out Lesson Plan, a new Polish film on Netflix. Okay, so it is directed by Daniel Markowicz, written by Daniel Bernardi. Now, I will say the listing on IMBD is trash. So yeah, there's no editor, cinematographer, there's no other information. There's a partial cast list. So the film is starring Pieter Witkowski, Marcin Boysk, Pascal Fischer, Zuzana Galois, Roma Gaswowska, Antonia Janawashki, Daniel Namikko, Nicholas Price-Goda, Jan Wojciechowski, and Raphael Zawakuka. And the gist of the film: after a teacher tragically dies, his friend, who happens to be a former cop, takes over his old job in hopes of catching the people responsible for his murder. So that's the film, right? What I was expecting was, just a kind of a standard action film, right? A bit like Our World. Feel it was Our World, though that was probably a better film, right? But yeah, there's been a few, right? There was that film of the guy that was the motorbike courier, um, which the name has completely escaped me. But that's what I was thinking of. And we start off with our lead character, right? He's a cop, and he's on this mission, right? He's on this mission to like take down these drug lords. So that's what we have. And in doing all of this, right? In doing all of this, he's he's blown. His cover is blown. And we then get this whole situation where he has to beat up the baddies and all of that. And I think in that moment, you understand what this is, right? You understand what this film is going to be, because there's some stuff that happens and you're just like, wait, that doesn't make any sense, right? Not so much, you know what I mean? His cover being blown, but the way it seems, and here's the thing, because there are holes here in this story, so you don't really know timelines or anything like that. But the way it seems is he's undercover in the city he lives in, right? Undercover in the fucking, like, exactly where he lives, because they're like, oh, and we know where your wife lives. And it's just like, wait, what? Right? Because it doesn't take him long. It doesn't seem to take him long to get home, because it's still nighttime. He's still, you know what I mean? He hasn't changed. He hasn't cleaned himself up. So you're just like, that makes no sense. Like, now, I don't know. Like, I'm not a cop or a secret agent, but I kind of feel they don't put you undercover in the place you live because people will recognize you. You know what I mean? People would go, hold on, isn't that Steve? Like, I swear that looks like Steve. You know what I mean? It's just like, what is happening? So, yeah, that straight away just makes you go, okay, they are really playing loose with, logic in this one. So, he's, his friend is a teacher who, it was unclear, because I thought they, at one point they said it's his brother, but I don't know. Maybe it's suppose it's his friend, right? Teacher who suspects this drug situation. And it's you know those films, right, or TV shows where the teacher's then like gonna track down, and you're just like, in what world would or could that ever happen? Right? A history teacher, like being able to track down like all of this stuff is kind of preposterous. You know what I mean? You're just like, what? Doesn't make any sense. Like, how is he gonna? And maybe you might see something, but people don't know how to do stealth, right? You might be like, oh yeah, I've watched mad films. I think I could creep. You can't creep. There's an art to that shit, right? So it's just all of that is crazy. But then we have a scene where they're both talking, right? Now here's where I don't, where I'm talking about time frames, because we don't know how much time has passed since our cop's wife has been killed, right? Now, from what we're watching, it seems like weeks, maybe a month, not long, not long at all. And so when his friends just like, oh yeah, you need to help me, blah 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 blah. What? Why are you feeling sorry for yourself? It's just a bit like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Are we meant to believe that he doesn't know that his wife has been killed? Right? It's there's no real acknowledgement to that happening from anyone other than the guy. The cop mentions it a couple of times in the film to another teacher, but that's it. Like his friend's wife, like none of them seem to acknowledge that homie's lost his wife, right? And there might be a reason why he's feeling all down in the clumps, you know? So that's weird. Then it's like him, but for some reason, besides that, when Netflix throw out clips of things, right? When I'm thinking of what to watch. And for some reason, I thought he joined the school as a janitor, which makes more sense than a history teacher, because it's just like, what would he know, right? What would he know about teaching to go in and be a teacher? Because, I kind of feel that there's shit you need to know. Like, you might be able to pull it off for, like, I don't know, like 4-year-olds. You know what I'm saying? But when you get to teenagers, I kind of feel there's probably a skill to that shit, right? And especially if you're teaching them history, you kind of need to know the shit. So like there's so many plot holes in this. There's a piece where something goes down at the school, an accusation gets made, and the way it's handled is so crazy because they put the person accusing in front of the person who they've accused. And you're just like, if what is being said happened, there is no way that you would put them in vicinity of each. That would be insane. It would be insane. But like everyone around has had interactions, right? So you're just like, so straight away, you are making this big assumption, right? You know, the school is crazy. People are saying wild things. So it's just like, it's not to say you wouldn't go, okay, we need to investigate. Yeah, you would investigate. But I kind of feel you're not going to just instantly be like, oh, yeah, that's definitely the type of person that is, right? It's crazy. Obviously, we get this scene where, people being taught like martial arts. And it's always that amusing one in these sort of films when people don't know how to fight. And then in the space of weeks, know how to fight. You know what I mean? It's that Cobra Kai shit, right? Where suddenly everyone knows how to fight. And it's just like, there's no way you would learn in that amount of time. Like, like this movie shown to someone at the beginning, which it's one of those ones where okay, so that's gonna come into it later, right? And it's just unless you have practiced that kind of shit, you ain't pulling it off like that. Especially if you've never done that shit. Like if you are a completely trained fighter, right? If you're an, Israel Adesanya type of cat, right? Kamaru Usman, you know what I mean? John Jones, someone like that. Yeah, you could probably pick up a move. A layman, someone that's never done music, ain't picking up shit, ain't picking it up. It's insane, right? So yeah, there's that. There's just these plot holes, but I feel where it's going, right? There's like that it's not just a simple thing straight away, but I think there's a bit maybe halfway through where it's just real evident where this really is going to end up, right? There's no big shocks, right? We get kind of a big bad revealed mad early, and you're just like, I don't feel they're giving us that info like that early. So there's something else behind it, and then you're like, oh, I know what's behind it, and yeah, that's what's behind it. So it's just like, okay. But what I will say, right? Although the story is, man, is probably thinner than crepe paper, right? If you want just some non-offensive, like action flick that you do not have to think about, right? If you want, because this is kind of like, right? If you think of The Takeover from a few weeks back, if you think of stuff like Lost Bullet, if you think of stuff like a Jason Statham film, do not really have to think about it, right? That's what this is. That's what lesson plan is, people. So if that's what you're looking for, it's maybe late at night, you can't sleep, and you're just like, I need something just to distract the shit out of me. This is your film, right? This will do the job for sure, right? So yeah, if you like you know what I mean, a non-offensive foreign action flick, Lesson Plan on Netflix might be the jam for you. If you want something a little more sophisticated and with a real interesting, in-depth, world-building, character-driven story, this ain't it. So pick your poison, people.